people ask me where my daughter goes to school, I say the Northeast Community Center. Like, oh yeah, I know that building. There is so much history in this building.
The Italian work, actually, including Northeast Community Center, was established really by the South Presbyterian Church. They were really moved by the plight of the Italians who had just come from Italy. I was more or less introduced to Dr. Bisceglia, who was the head of an Italian work. He had become the conscience and the spokesperson for the Italian community in Kansas City. I courted Dr. Bisceglia's daughter, who became my wife in 1946, I believe it was. The community center was built in 1941. They had a clinic here. They had it all. We undertook to redesign the center itself into a cultural center. It happened then that in 1999, the charter schools were first recognized by law.
A charter school is an independent public school that provides a family a choice in their child's education.
It occurred to us we already have establishment which would serve that perfectly, dealing with cultural matters particularly, but also teaching of children according to what would benefit them, how we could open up their spirits, their hearts, their imaginations. And so we were granted a charter.
I heard him talk about his vision for the school and what he wanted for the school, and expose these children to different cultural experiences that they hadn't been exposed to before.
When we submitted for a charter, it was as a cultural arts school.
You're going to learn about history when you're doing art. You learn about math when you're doing reading. I mean, it all goes together.
He said, you know, we really need an administrator who's going to value the students and their experiences.
I was working in the Kansas City School District, and one of my professors called me and said, Nicole, you need to go over and take a look at this school. And when I walked in, I immediately knew this was the school that I needed to be a part of.
She sits and reads with the kids every day. She's in a classroom in some way, shape, or form, which I think is a real gift for the kids to see. This principal not just cares about my discipline, she cares about what I'm reading.
We talk with the kids as readers and writers, so they have confidence in themselves as readers and as a writer.
Reading is fun for me because I get to learn a lot about things like people and history.
There's a lot of books that I like, and a lot of chapter books that I want to read. And sometimes when I have free time, I just go for it and read the chapter books.
We do not water down the curriculum. We talk to kids in a way as co-learners in an environment.
It gives you more confidence, and everybody's just say, go Marisha, go Marisha. You have more confidence.
There's nothing more important than the relationship between students and the adults that work with them. We have research study after research study that shows students who are engaged in their schools and know their teachers well and have a positive relationship with them do better in school.
They all have standards that they all reach. They all push us to make us better at everything.
The fine arts brings to the children the opportunity to see how big the world is, and that sometimes people communicate very well, just as much as in the language arts, how powerful the fine arts are the visual arts are in giving expression to our feelings, to our understanding, to our intelligence.
He teaches us basic steps to art, and he doesn't just scramble through a whole bunch of stuff and then tell us to go off and do it. He takes it each step at a time.
We are allowed to really let the kids experiment and learn to play as a group. We have what I call in class one band, one sound. So we're learning how to communicate through music.
Our school is a very diverse school. It's an international school. I have children from about 7 different countries.
Whenever I show Lauren's school class picture to anyone, every single person says, wow, that's the way it should be.
What that allows us to do is to tap into all the wonderful cultural backgrounds, those components that sometimes aren't taught in textbooks or in books, that we can bring in and teach into. So the stories of their lives help us teach the writing and the reading that we do in school. As you drive up Independence Avenue, you see pawn shops and broken down gas stations, and then you come across this campus of ours that really provides a safe haven for our children. Our children come from this neighborhood, and many of them come from difficult backgrounds.
This school really has no boundaries. These kids go outside the school and have wonderful experiences out in the community. So really, this is not a school in the sense that, okay, it's just this building. It's all the incredible things they do outside the building to help them understand the world they live in and what they can do to make it a better world.
We are currently partnered with the United States Tennis Association. We have about 40 kids that are participating in tennis lessons weekly. The outdoor work that we do with Department of Conservation is camping, overnight trips, canoeing, hiking, fishing, taking kids on the Katy Trail for bike trips, caving.
We have performances all over Kansas City. We go to restaurants to perform. We perform down in the city market. We've worked with Michael Stern in the past, and he's come in and visited with our school and talked about the symphony.
With KCUMB, we work closely with the Score One for Health, which allows us to monitor our kids' health and visual and dental. If kids are not healthy, then it's really hard for kids to learn, so that takes priority. That's the very first thing we do every year is we do health screenings with KCMB.
Together, the judge and Nicole have created this incredibly wonderful place for children to not just have math, reading, social studies, of course those are very important, but also to supplement the experiences through art and music and dance and all the other things that they're able to provide for the kids.
When I started in 2003, the school was composed of grades K through 5. As we saw the need to grow, we met the call from parents saying, hey, we need a place to put our 6th grader, our 7th grader, our 8th grader. So as our kids grew, we grew as a school to meet those needs. So we are at capacity with about 220 students as of today, and we have about another 200 that are waiting to come to this school.
I think for the space they've had and what they've done with the structure here, it's been phenomenal, but you can always think of additional space that's going to improve your school.
I'd like to see an addition of about 8 to 10 instructional classrooms. We have such a strong performing arts program and visual arts program. It would enhance the learning by having a visual and performing arts area for kids.
I believe that a corporation that would invest in a school like this is a corporation that's interested in giving back to the community. They understand it's cyclical.
They're not just concerned with the kids in the classroom, like I said, they're concerned with how these kids develop into community members. And so I think an investment in that way is money well spent.
What I hope for, and what I sincerely believe, is that this work is regenerating itself.
She took us to Science City, where there's a lot of awesome things there, and I was so excited to go because science was my favorite subject.
My favorite subjects are math and science.
And then is a caterpillar, and then it makes a cocoon, and then it turns to a butterfly.